welcome to a rainy Friday morning in the city of Accra, and you are on BTA, and the program is Business Africa Live. This is another day, as they always say, this is the day the Lord has made, and we will be rejoicing and be glad in it. And you're welcome to another morning of business. This morning for our lineup, we will have a regular stock market, currency market, or what we term as the financial market analysis. We'll also take a look at capacity building for. We'll take a look at capacity building for with the sector. Hold on a minute. Let me get this for you. We'll get capacity building for exportation. We'll also look at where to invest. We'll look at fitness from Pulse Fitness also, and then we'll also take a look at your business course for the day, and your program ends at that point. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we have stocks, currency, and commodity, as well as other financial news on the market. Stay tuned in. This is Business Africa Live on BTA.
traditional cases might be pedagogically helpful, but they are often easily forgotten. The business class is to enrich case-based learning for business ethics instruction, discuss sample cases that feature popular work environment, and allow students to learn how to use sample case studies. The business class aim is to engage and motivate students in the classroom. The business class is a unique TV show that presents a more corporate experience. Within the show and illustrate the violations of norms commonly taken for granted in a work setting and taught in typical business classes. The business class serves as a valuable tool to teach management topics that are often difficult for students to grasp. Watch the business class live show with an audience to help create bond between student lecturers and corporate Ghana. The business class makes every situation real for students.
Straight into the respective stock markets, the currency market and also the commodities market. On the Ghana Stock Exchange, 1 peso appreciation to ScanChart and Ecobank Transnational Incorporated made sure that the Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index went up to a high of 10.66% at the end of year to date, at the end of trading on Thursday, with as I said, the support of ScanChart and then Ecobank Transnational Incorporated, while just 100 share trade in the stocks of HFC resulted in the 5 peso decline in the price of HFC. So you can see that the latest rumble in terms of who owns HFC, and the pricing game is actually getting heated up. The price gets hitting at a high of 1 cedi 60 pesos and now has fallen consistently to a 1 cedi 45 pesos after losing 5 pesos at the end of trading on Thursday. In terms of volume trading on the market recorded 420,900 shares traded at a consideration of 469,757 Ghana cedis. And in terms of total trades on the market, the HFC, as I said, recorded just 5% decline. In terms of total trade, CAL recorded the highest volume trade of 272,700 shares, while CAL also recording the highest in terms of value traded on the market at the end of trading on Thursday. So let's take a look at other stock markets across Africa and take a look at the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, where the Johannesburg Stock Exchange index, the index on the market, the aggregate stock index on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange was up by 0.07%, the marginal change of course, but in terms of nominal gains it was up by 34.73% to close at 14.01% year to date, with the index at 51,918.44% at the end of trading on Thursday. In terms of gainers, we saw Avenge Limited, Metrofar Holdings, African Bank Investment, Investec Limited, and Investec PLC recorded closing the day with 5 gainers on the Johannesburg Stock Exchange, with a range of appreciation between 6.40 and 2.77% at the end of trading on Thursday. Now let's go to the Egyptian stock market, where the EGX30, which is the benchmark for the Egyptian stock market, closed the day up by 1.43% to close at 8,258.40 points, and a year-to-date of 21.75%, being actually the most returning stock exchange in Africa at the moment, according to data that BTA has on other stock markets across Africa. In terms of volume traded, the market recorded 110.69 million shares at a consideration of $42.97 million US. In terms of total market capitalization on the Egyptian stock market was $28.93 billion US, and then the market recorded 8,981 transactions at the end of Thursday. Now let's go to the other stock markets and take a look at the Nigerian stock market, where the aggregate stock index on the Nigerian stock market was up by 0.18%. The marginal change, I must say, with a nominal change in index at 77.11 points and a year-to-date of 6.84%. The index goes at 42,686.86 points, while the total volume on the market was 570.8 million shares at a consideration of $51.8 million US, and the total market capitalization of 85.98 billion US at the end of trading on Thursday. Now gainers on the Nigerian stock market were Dansem up by 1.88%, Guinness by 1.14%, WAPCO by 1.78%, Unilever by 1.85%, and Okum Oil by 1.85% as well. Now let's take a look at the Moroccan stock market, where the BVC, or the Bourse de Valeurs de Casablanca, recorded another composite appreciation, marginal, I must say, by 0.05%, representing a nominal change of 4.73 points and a year-to-date of 4.31% on the Bourse de Valeurs de Casablanca. The MASI, as I said, is the benchmark for the Moroccan stock market, which closed at 4.31%. The gainers on the Bourse de Valeurs de Casablanca were DLM by 3.35%, Ribab by 2.00%, Selafin by 1.87%, Sonasid by 1.80%, and Rizma by 1.75% at the end of trading on Thursday. Now let's take a look at other stock markets in Northern Africa, and in particular we take a look at Tunisian stock market, where the BVMT, the Tunidex on the BVMT was down by 0.26%, representing a 3.95 point decline and a year-to-date of 5.51% at the end of trading on Thursday. The index on the Tunidex closed at 4,574.13 points at the end of trading on Thursday. Gainers on the BVMT, actually there was only one gainer in the person, or in the name of Sutuva, by 12.34% at the end of trading, closing at 0.91 dirhams at the end of trading on Thursday. So this is how the various stock markets performed at the end of trading on Thursday, and we'll take a look at some commodities prices, where gold was down by 0.69% for the first time this week, closing at $1,319.73 an ounce. Oil recorded a third successive day of decline, at down by 0.96% to close at $110.70 a barrel. Cocoa was at $3,105 US per metric ton, representing a change of 0.13%, while coffee also fell by 0.58% to close at 172.00%. Sugar also closed at 17 cedis 36 per pound, US dollar per pound, down up by 0.34%. Now let's take a look at some interbank market news, where the Ghana cedi recorded slammed actually to its majors for the first time in about 6 to 7 sessions. It fell heavily to all four major trading currencies, closing at over 3 cedis 1 peso to the US dollar on the interbank market. Also closed at 5 cedis 17 pesos to the pound sterling on interbank market, I must say, and the euro also at 4 cedis 11 pesos. The CFA closed at 159.68 CFA to 1 Ghana cedi. So viewers, this is how the various markets performed at the end of trading on Thursday. There were some mixed performances across some of the stock exchange, but then of course looking at Ghana recorded an appreciation. But then in terms of currency, the Ghana cedi fell to its measures, and also the commodities, we saw that most of the commodities, with the exception of coffee, recorded declines at the end of trading on Thursday. So we'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll have a discussion on capacity building, and that's what we're going to do, capacity building, at the end of the break. So stay tuned in. You're still live on BTA.
Using traditional cases might be pedagogically helpful, but they are often easily forgotten. The business class is to enrich case-based learning for business ethics instruction, discuss sample cases that feature popular work environment, and allow students to learn how to use sample case studies. The business class aim is to engage and motivate students in the classroom. The business class is a unique TV show that presents a more corporate experience. Within the show and illustrate the violations of norms commonly taken for granted in a work setting and taught in typical business classes. The business class serves as a valuable tool to teach management topics that are often difficult for students to grasp. Watch the business class live show with an audience to help create bond between student lecturers and corporate Ghana. The business class makes every situation real for students.
Looking for a venue for your wedding reception, conferences and retreats, outside catering, recreation? Look no further than Coconut Grove Beach Resort Hotel, located in Elmina. Coconut Grove Hotels, memories worth repeating.
Do you know that there are more successful people in Ghana today than before? Well, that is the truth, and the secret is in prudent financial planning with the right financial manager. You need to know the right fund manager who spends your money 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 4 weeks in a month, and 12 months in a year. That manager is at Gold Coast Fund Management. At Gold Coast, your money never sleeps. It revolves every second to give you more money for use when you really need it. For the past 21 years, Gold Coast Fund Management has held a strong reputation of spending people's money to beat inflation, depreciation, and treasury bill rates. Put your money to work. Move from savings into investment. Pay your investment tithe into the Gold Fund and Gold Money Market Fund, and be assured that when you are in need, you can turn to them to resolve your financial problems. Gold Coast Fund Management. Investment advice worth its weight in gold.
Africa is becoming more populous and richer. It has experienced unprecedented and uninterrupted economic growth for the past 3 decades. But if African countries are to become economically successful, their government will have to implement adequate policies which contribute to the expansion of the private sector, job creation, and an increase in the productivity levels. Corruption must be dealt with in Africa. Unemployment, mainly among the youth, is another challenge facing African leaders. These and many more issues that hinders our growth will be discussed on the banner and provide the why, how, and what to accelerate the continent's dream of economic freedom. What's on the banner every Saturday is going to be hot, heated, but spoken. Africa's future success will depend on stability, sound policy, and solid institutions. Don't miss this.
break, and as promised, we said we're going to talk about capacity building in terms of trade. And so we have with me a special guest from the ECOWAS Commission in the person of Mr. Kolawole Shofola, who is the project coordinator for trade negotiation capacity building for the ECOWAS Commission. I'm really privileged to have him in the studios with us, and I hope we stay tuned, and we will have a very interesting discussion in terms of trade and any other thing that relates to trade in Africa, in the ECOWAS Commission, and anyone that you have your questions on. So welcome, Mr. Kolawole Shofola, to the studio.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
Pleasure to have you also in our studios. So we'll just move straight to the question, and my first one will be, what exactly is the project actually all about?
The Trade Negotiation Capacity Building Project, TNCB project for short, is about supporting our member states to build their capacity to negotiate trade deals. All West African countries, ECOWAS countries, apart from Liberia at the moment, are part of the WTO, the World Trade Organization, and they negotiate at a multilateral level. So the project is designed to build their capacity to better negotiate trade agreements which can support the development of their economies. And the project itself also supports the ECOWAS Commission to build its capacity to negotiate on behalf of member states as well.
Okay, so if I'm clear about your duties, more basically is to equip member states or trade analysts to be able to know or to be able to get onto the international scene to actually to get better deals in terms of trade and probably some investment opportunities as well.
Well, that is it indeed. Member states, not only government officials, although they are the primary beneficiaries, but we also believe in the participation of private sector and civil society, because they have a part to play in the formulation process. It is them that tells the government what they need, and government now negotiates on their behalf, on the behalf of the citizens. So it's government officials, private sector, and civil society organizations.
Okay, so sorry. So I hear the project is in 3 phases. So if you could take us through all the phases that you go, I learned you're in the 3rd phase actually.
We are moving towards the 3rd phase. The project started in 2003. The project is financed by the ECOWAS Commission and SIDA, which is the Swedish International Development Agency. So we thank them for their cooperation. The 1st phase ran from 2003 to 2007. And focused mainly on establishing the project, setting up its secretariat. It provided training as well as technical assistance to the ECOWAS Commission. The 2nd phase, which started in 2008, focused more on building on the achievements on phase 1, but as well setting up institutional structures at the national level, what we call the interinstitutional committees, which are a platform for member states or at the national level to bring together all ministries, departments and agencies with trade-related functions for them to coordinate their actions and to formulate policies together.
Okay, so over the 3 phases that we've been through, what are the challenges that you've seen over the period?
Okay, so we're currently ending the 2nd phase and designing phase 3. Let me start with the achievements first of all. We've managed to train over close to 500 officials on issues such as the ECOWAS Common External Tariff, the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme, the ECOWAS Investment Code, as well as wider WTO issues. So we just don't focus on multilateral issues, we also have a keen interest and a focus on regional initiatives. We've managed to establish or strengthen interinstitutional committees in all 15 member states. However, some challenges, as you've now requested, is that to continue operating these interinstitutional committees, IICs for short, it is evident that member states at the moment need support in the functioning of these IICs. Sometimes member states highlight the fact they have limited budgets and they may not be able to organize as many meetings and as frequently as they would like. So one challenge we do face is ensuring that these IICs are functioning and operating on a frequent basis.
Okay, so basically the challenge you've been basically has to do with the IICs.
Well, it's just a room for improvement. I would not say it's a challenge per se, but it's an area where we believe there's further room for improvement.
Of course, in every project, I think once you forge certain achievements, there's always room for to improve on it. We're very sure. We'll touch on another very sensitive issue, but then which has to do, with economic partnership. But then first and foremost, we'll talk about inter-African trade, inter-ECOWAS trade. How has it been?
Well, intra-ECOWAS trade, when you compare it to intra-Europe trade or inter-American trade, the percentage is usually stated as fairly low. Although we have to acknowledge the fact that in those official statistics would not capture informal trade, which is also a large part of our economies. But nevertheless, it's still relatively low. So there is significant room for improvement in intra-African trade, and the African Union itself has an initiative at the continental level to boost in intra-Africa trade called the BIAT, Boosting Intra-Africa Trade. And one of the tools they would like to use to boost intra-Africa trade is to go towards the development of a continental free trade area. So that has been adopted by the African Union heads of states, and ECOWAS has very much taken that initiative to heart and is working on boosting intra-African trade by, first of all, consolidating the gains at the regional level. We also have what we call the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme. ECOWAS itself is already a free trade area, which means goods that originate, that were produced in the region, can circulate freely within the region, duty-free, quota-free. The ETLS enables us to operationalize this free trade area, where companies would register the products, they go through an assessment to validate that their products was originating from the region, and then they get a certificate to allow them to move it freely across the region. So that scheme, the ETLS, is in operation, and there are significant improvements being done to that scheme to make sure it operates more efficiently, especially for small and medium-sized enterprises.
Okay, so over the period for your project, over the life of the project, how have the member states been able to benefit from this? From the first two phases that we've seen so far. Okay. You spoke about how you're using this initiative to actually boost trade. And actually, there's even an initiative actually on the Central African continent to boost inter-African trade. So how exactly have member states, especially in the ECOWAS region, been able to benefit from this whole project?
Like I said, as part of our achievements, we've trained almost 500 officials, and these officials are officials of member states. Okay. There are a number of activities the project undertakes. One activity is this interinstitutional committee, where it assists member states at the national level to gather together all their ministries, departments, and agencies. So we support that coordination platform. We also support them on capacity building, so we have short and slightly longer term training courses to build the capacity of the member states on trade issues at the international level, continental level, as well at the regional level. We also support member states in, perhaps, can I say, in supporting them with technical positions and papers. So we provide technical assistance either directly through the ECOWAS Commission or support them in recruiting those who can assist them. So there are a number of ways we work with our member states directly because, as I said, they are the primary beneficiary of this project.
Okay. You as being a trade analyst or an expert in terms of trade on the West African continent and also in the African continent as a whole, I think there's one question that most of our viewers would like us to touch on, and of course, being here for you, I think I will pose the question on your behalf. Mr. Shofola, how far is the West African continent in terms of the EPA?
I had a feeling that this question may come up. The EPA, I believe you're referring to the West African European Union Economic Partnership Agreement. Negotiations have progressed significantly. The two parties, West Africa and the European Union, and in particular West Africa, has stated it was willing to sign a development-friendly economic partnership agreement. Negotiations were originally meant to end in 2007, but at that time, West Africa was not satisfied with the current status of negotiations. There were a number of concerns, divergent positions, so we did not conclude by the end of 2007. The mere fact that we're in 2014 and still talking about it shows you how resolute our negotiators have been to ensure that we do indeed have a development-friendly agreement. Negotiations have progressed a long way. A lot of achievements have been chalked along the way. The heads of states in a recent summit, in principle, agreed to the economic partnership agreement. However, though, we had to take into consideration concerns of a number of member states. So these concerns are being addressed, and I believe very shortly there will be an announcement on the status of that negotiations.
So, I mean, as you said, there were some concerns raised by some of these member states, and in particular Nigeria raised very serious concerns. First of all, do you even think that the West African continent is ready for this agreement in the first place?
The world is evolving. There are a number of trade agreements happening with and around us. We have the EU and the US negotiating trade agreements. We have Pacific countries negotiating trade agreements. Generally speaking, if you are not part of these larger trading blocks, you stand a chance to lose out on some of these preferences. Also, as agreed in the Cotonou Agreement, it was deemed that that partnership, or the trade pillar of that partnership, was incompatible with WTO rules. So we agreed to negotiate this economic partnership agreement, a development-friendly economic partnership agreement. So without this agreement, many of our countries, or should I say at least the non-least developed countries, the non-LDCs, stand a chance of losing their preferences to transfer or to trade with their largest trading partner, which is the European Union. So you have to look at the costs and the benefits. Obviously, this new trading agreement is different from the last one in Cotonou because there's reciprocity, where previously we did not open our markets to European products. Now we have to, as part of being compatible with the WTO. But we must realize that in opening our markets, it is not done instantaneously. It is not 100% of our markets being opened. We negotiated 75%. And the majority of those goods we are liberalizing over a phased period of 20 years begins with goods which we require for our production process, inputs and intermediary products that would make us become more competitive. So we believe that if you look at the package in its entirety, there are clauses to ensure that we promote development, industrialization in the sub-region, and there are also clauses to ensure that if we face difficulties, we call them trade defense measures, there are certain measures we can take to limit any distortions to our markets. And we should not also forget that there is a review clause in the agreement that every 5 years the agreement can be reviewed by a joint committee which consists of West Africa and European Union parties to look at the progress of the agreement and to ensure that it is meeting its targets of being development friendly.
So looking at the extent of the negotiation for the EPA and the concerns that were raised and the extent that we've come to, in your own opinion, do you think now we have a better deal that we can go for, or you think, I mean, your personal opinion, I must say, do you think we have a better deal to go for now? I mean, better than what we had in 2007, or you think there's still other things that we can look at?
Definitely since 2007 we've made a lot of progress.
Okay.
We have to remember in any trade negotiations there are going to be some aspects you can gain, there's some aspects you may not be able to gain. It's part of negotiations.
Sure.
Both parties can certainly not have 100% of their desires. So we believed at this stage we've reached a good compromise where we believe that the agreement could be beneficial to both parties. ECOWAS are negotiators on behalf of our member states. So the final decision will be left to the member states to sign or to conclude or agree on what the negotiators have proposed. So our job is just to work on the behalf of our member states to get the best deal we think is possible. Then we present it back to the member states who have the final decision.
Well, I think it's been very insightful. If you ask me, the discussions we have in the studio in terms of intra-African trade and intra-ECOWAS trade, and in terms of building capacity for people or for various businesses, whether being for the public or the private sector, to engage in trade and probably in some investment, cross-border investment decisions also, I must say, and how their program, which has gone to the second phase and about to enter to the third phase, has also helped for member states to be able to have better deals and to negotiate on a bigger platform in terms of international deals, in terms of partnership agreements and all that. So we'll move on to the next stage of the discussion. Then we'll zoom in into Ghana, and we'll talk about Ghana for a little bit, because the focus of Ghana right now has become that Ghana is going through some challenge in terms of economic challenges, I must say. And you being a trade expert, how is this first and foremost going to affect the trade, Ghana's trade? And there's another thing that there's a school of thought that says that most African countries, or even most countries, and especially most of West African countries, in particular Ghana, we do more. Most of our trades have become more of primary goods that actually don't have much value added onto it. So Ghana being a country with less added value goods and also going through economic challenges,